He ghosted me after leaving divorce papers and got me fired within a week. I am a model and would like to keep my identity private, as there are so many rumors already going around about my personal life. I am going to be anonymous and take this opportunity to share my story of how my life turned upside down after my husband ghosted me. I hope that by sharing my story anonymously, I can inspire others who may be going through similar struggles to seek help and find the strength to overcome their challenges. Thank you for allowing me to share my experience in a safe and confidential way. Let me address myself as M and my husband as D. He was a photographer I met on one of my first photo shoots. We both bonded really well, and the photo shoot turned out to be lucky for my career. It took my career and set it to new heights. I immediately started believing that he was my lucky charm, and every photo shoot that involved D turned out to be a milestone in my career. D's talent behind the camera brought out the best in me, capturing moments that truly showcased my potential. Our professional collaboration soon blossomed into a deep personal connection, making him not just my photographer, but also my partner in life. I wanted to keep him around as my lucky charm, and also, we had undeniable chemistry, so we decided to get married just 6 months after we started dating. It was all over the news as we were tagged as the most successful photographer and model couple. Our relationship was constantly in the spotlight, with fans and media alike following our every move. Despite the pressure, we remained strong and continued to support each other in our respective careers. We made sure that we became the most hot and sizzling couple in town and basked in all the popularity that we could get from our marriage. We both needed this additional attention to grow in our own respective careers. We thrived off of the attention and used it to propel ourselves even further in our careers. Our love for each other only grew stronger as we navigated the challenges of being a high-profile couple. Slowly, as our marriage grew older, people started losing interest in us. Our appearances and the interest around our relationship also died down eventually. There was no doubt that our marriage helped us boost our careers, but only to a little extent. After about 1 year of being married, it was getting difficult for us both to make ends meet due to our luxurious lifestyle. Dee and I had a talk, and he insisted on downsizing and moving into a smaller house, which I was vehemently against. I did not want people to think low of us, and said that I would figure out a way to make sure we are able to afford and keep up with this lavish life. However, as time went on, the financial strain became too much to bear, and we started accumulating debt. It became clear that we needed to make some changes in order to secure our financial future. I finally agreed to downsize and make more responsible financial decisions for the sake of our marriage and our future. I tried to pull all my strings and contact everyone I knew to get a substantial amount of work. After a lot of desperate calls, there was an agency which was interested in signing both Dee and I for a period of 2 years. I was glad that my efforts were finally getting paid and we might not have to face any more financial problems. I shared the news with Dee, who was equally excited to know about the offer. We quickly scheduled a meeting with the agency to discuss the details of the contract and make sure it was a good fit for both of us. The opportunity seemed like a turning point in our careers, and we were eager to see where it would take us. We started working with the agency, and not too long after that, my career had skyrocketed, and I was being offered projects left, right, and center. My agency assigned me a manager to keep track of my projects and my schedule. I felt like I was finally making it big in life. I started working with other photographers as my career started peaking, and I did not want to limit myself just to Dee. Initially, Dee did show his support and was proud of my accomplishments as I started getting offers for advertisements and shows as well. He started thinking that all the success was going to put a distance between us, which was bullshit. There was nothing that could come between us, and all his doubts were thoughtless and immature. However, as time went on, Dee's insecurities began to overshadow his initial support. It became clear that he was unable to handle my growing success and started becoming resentful. Ultimately, our relationship suffered as a result of his inability to truly be happy for me. I did try to reason with him on many occasions, but he felt like his career was ending, and he was somehow holding me back from reaching my potential. I was tired of having the same discussions and letting him know that he had it all wrong. I did not understand how else to make him realize that I loved him no matter what, and all these opportunities were not of more value than our relationship. I even tried to show him through my actions, but it seemed like he was unable to see beyond his own fears and insecurities. I knew that ultimately, I needed to prioritize my own well-being and growth, even if it meant letting go of someone I cared about deeply. I decided to surprise him so that he feels a little secure about our relationship. I came home early and decorated the house. I made sure to even try and cook something for him, as it had been too long that I did not do anything special. I made sure that the house looked great and had a romantic vibe to it. I even sprayed a romantic mist throughout the house, so that Dee gets turned on from every corner of the house. I also lit some candles and put on his favorite music to set the mood. I wanted to create a memorable evening for us both to enjoy together. I prepared everything and was ready for him to walk in and be overwhelmed by the surprise. I called him, and he said that he had to redo the shoot as the client was not very happy, so he might have to spend a few more hours to complete his work. I did sound a little disappointed, because I knew how things worked and understood that it was not in his hands. I decided to keep the candles lit and the music playing, hoping that he would still be able to come home soon. I texted him a message of encouragement and support for his work, letting him know that I would be patiently waiting for him at home. I got up in the morning and saw that Dee was not in bed. I checked my phone and saw a text from Dee letting me know that he would be sleeping at a hotel as he did not have the energy to drive back home so late at night. I decided to forget about all the efforts I put in and try it another day again to try and make things work. I asked my help to clear out everything and throw out the stuff that was unnecessary. I was, of course, in a foul mood due to things not turning out the way I was expecting them to last night. As I gathered my thoughts, I realized that sometimes things just don't go as planned, and it's important to be flexible. I decided to focus on the positives and look forward to a fresh start the next day. One day, I returned from an event for my new web series, but could not find Dee at home. I tried to look for any note that he might have left for me in the kitchen, which he usually does, but instead I found an envelope on the countertop. I opened it and was shocked to see divorce papers which were already signed by Dee. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks, and I couldn't believe that Dee had made such a drastic decision without even discussing it with me. My mind raced with questions and emotions as I tried to process what this meant for our relationship. I never saw it coming that there would be a day when Dee and I would ever think of ending our relationship. Yes, we did have our own share of disagreements, but I never thought it was something so serious that Dee would go ahead and send out divorce papers. I still thought it could be a prank and called him. It kept going to voicemail, and my impatience increased with every passing minute. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Dee answered the phone and confirmed that he was serious about the divorce. The reality of the situation hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me in shock and disbelief. I pleaded with him over the next few days, asking him what I had done wrong so that I could try and fix it. In my head, I never could imagine my life without him anymore. I might have been a successful model and a celebrity, but in reality, I needed him as he was my comfort and safe space. I knew that every day after work I could come home and hug him, and everything would be all right. He was my rock, my anchor in the storm of fame and uncertainty. Without him, I felt lost and incomplete. I couldn't bear the thought of losing him, as he was the one constant in my chaotic life. I hoped that he would eventually understand how much he meant to me and give our relationship another chance. The next week, I was trying hard to put up a brave face and go to work, but the news of Dee moving out of the house spread like wildfire, and before I knew it, my personal life had become a topic of gossip for everyone. I was not sure if it was Dee who reported the news of our separation, but there could have been no one else who knew about our divorce, or so I assumed. I felt betrayed and hurt by the breach of privacy, causing me to question the trust I had in Dee. The situation made me realize the importance of keeping personal matters private to avoid unnecessary drama and speculation. Moving forward, I made a conscious effort to be more selective about who I confided in and to prioritize my own emotional well-being above others' curiosity. It was a tough lesson to learn, but ultimately it helped me establish healthy boundaries in my relationships. I confronted Dee when I saw him in the lobby of the agency we worked for. It became a dirty fight, and I was screaming at him from the top of my lungs, unable to still digest the fact that he was the one who gave away the fact that we were indeed getting separated. My emotions were running high as I demanded an explanation from him, feeling betrayed and hurt by his actions. The confrontation left me feeling both physically and emotionally drained. I could feel the tears streaming down my face as I tried to make sense of the situation. Despite my anger, deep down I knew that I needed closure in order to move on from this painful experience. I needed to find a way to process my feelings and come to terms with the end of our relationship. It was clear that I had a long road ahead of me in order to heal from this heartbreak. Due to all the negative publicity, I was replaced overnight in all of the ongoing projects that I was currently working on, in a span of a day. I went from being extremely busy to having no work at all. I was shocked by how quickly things changed and struggled to understand why my reputation had been tarnished so suddenly. It was a difficult and unexpected situation to navigate, but I knew I had to focus on rebuilding my credibility and finding new opportunities. I reached out to colleagues for feedback and support, and began actively seeking new projects to get involved in. Despite the setback, I remained determined to prove myself and regain the trust of my peers. Unfortunately, not many of them were helpful, as they did not want to make enemies within the agency, which was understandable. I would have done the same, but I don't know why it made me angry. I mean, I had gone out of my way so many times to help people who I thought were my friends, and now when it was their turn to return the favor, not one person stood up for me. I started spending my time sitting at home as I had nothing much to do. Dee had moved out of the house, and all his stuff was gone. The house looked emptier than ever, and I felt like it was a waste of space living alone in such a big house. My daily routine consisted of waking up at noon, going through any new posts put up by Dee, and crying myself to sleep. I was barely able to eat anything and make myself look presentable. Everything seemed like a big task to me, and I did not even feel like getting out of bed. I knew I needed to make a change and find a way to fill my days with purpose again. Maybe joining a new hobby or reaching out to friends for support could help me start feeling like myself again. It was time to take small steps towards healing and rebuilding my life after Dee's departure. I decided to start with something small, so I started writing how I felt these days. I was slowly enjoying it, and the rumors that spread about me and Dee not staying in the same house did not make it easier for me to forget. I then figured out that maybe putting my story out there would help me gain my confidence and remind me of the person I was before all of this happened. I then started writing my story, which helped me overcome a lot of self-doubts and concerns I had about myself. Sharing my story not only helped me gain confidence, but also allowed me to reflect on my journey and how far I've come. It was a therapeutic experience that ultimately helped me move forward in a positive direction. Thank you all for taking the time to read my story. I know you all have your own speculations about who I could be, and you might have even guessed it if you keep up with the current events in the fashion industry. However, I would appreciate it if you would keep my identity anonymous, even if you know who I am. I want to maintain a level of privacy and anonymity as I continue to share my experiences and insights. Your understanding and respect for my wishes are greatly appreciated. Update. Let me keep you guys updated on my story after I'd gone through such a hard time with my career and marriage. I got so much of an overwhelming response from you guys that I could not stop myself from updating you guys on the ongoing events of my life. I feel like it is my responsibility right now to let you guys in on the happenings in my life. I appreciate all the love and support you have shown me during this difficult time. Your encouragement has truly been a source of strength for me as I navigate through these challenges. I met Dee after a week of us having an argument in public. I never imagined my reputation to come to bits by someone who I loved and cared so much for. I tried to maintain my composure as I did not want to lose my cool again and embarrass myself. Despite my efforts to remain calm, I couldn't help but feel hurt and betrayed by Dee's actions. It was a painful reminder that sometimes love isn't enough to prevent someone from causing harm. I realized that forgiveness doesn't always come easy, especially when trust has been broken. Moving forward, I knew I had to prioritize my own well-being and set boundaries to protect myself from further hurt. Dee and I were signed up for a big budget project for 2 more years for a photo shoot that was as big and prestigious as Paris or Milan Fashion Week. Dee insisted that I was not in the right frame of mind to continue with the photo shoot and suggested that I be replaced by someone with a better mindset. I was completely shocked to listen to Dee, and his words hurt like hell. I felt betrayed and disheartened by Dee's lack of faith in me, but I knew that I had to prove him wrong and show my worth during the photo shoot. Despite the hurtful words, I was determined to give my best and make a lasting impression on everyone involved in the project. I argued that since I was already signed and had a contract, there was no way that I could be replaced. I said that looking at me, I don't think anyone would think that I was not in the right frame of mind. I had an assumption that since I was more important for the agency than Dee, there was no way that I would be replaced, and was confident that Dee might get replaced, but not me. I believed that my dedication and hard work would speak for itself, and I was willing to prove my worth through actions rather than words. I knew that by staying focused and delivering results, I could solidify my position on the project. I got a call after 2 days telling me that I was replaced after a lot of discussions and deliberations by a young model who just started off as a model literally 3 months ago. I was quite surprised when I saw the hoardings everywhere in the city, because there was no way someone so new would be given such a big opportunity without any powerful backup. So I decided to dig in a bit, as I had a lot of free time at hand now that I had no ongoing assignments. I made a few calls and came to know from my confidants in the agency that Dee was the one who was very adamant on getting her on board. She also mentioned that she had seen Dee and the model, let's call her Z, having lunch or dinner a few times looking very cozy. It seemed like there was more to the story than met the eye, and I was determined to uncover the truth behind this sudden rise to fame. My instincts told me that there was a deeper connection between Dee and Z that needed to be explored further. A few days of personal investigation led me to know exactly what had been going on behind my back all this while. I was living in an assumption that my marriage with Dee was perfect, with a few disagreements here and there. Now, after getting a lot of insights and inputs, I began to realize that my married life was a sham. I was married only in my head. Dee was not what he portrayed to be during the entire marriage. He used me only for my fame and popularity to make his own life easy. I felt betrayed and heartbroken, realizing that the person I trusted the most had been using me all along. It was a painful realization, but it allowed me to see the truth and move forward with clarity and strength. I hired a private investigator to further get to know everything about Dee, as I was raging with anger, knowing that I was the one who did nothing wrong but kept begging him to not ruin our marriage. I needed concrete evidence to confront Dee with, and the private investigator was my last resort in finding the truth. Despite my fear of what I might discover, I knew I needed to face the reality of our situation. I couldn't continue living in uncertainty and needed closure, even if it meant facing the painful truth. It was time to gather the strength to confront Dee and make a decision about our future. I had decided to go ahead and file for divorce and submit all the evidence of infidelity to make sure that Dee ends up with nothing, and I get to see his shocked reaction when I win the case. What more humiliation could I face after all sorts of public gossip and slurs thrown at me for ditching my not-so-famous husband? I knew that I wanted to get the truth out there so that I could reinvent my reputation and get back in the industry. I have already consulted with a top divorce attorney and am confident in my decision to move forward with the legal process. It's time for me to take control of my life and show everyone that I am not defined by the actions of my soon-to-be ex-husband. I did not want a mutual divorce after knowing about his affair and wanted him to suffer as much as I did. I knew that Dee would be shocked to know that I was willing to file for divorce and to contest for infidelity. The court case started, and when we met after almost 2 months, Dee had a sarcastic smile on his face. I could not understand why he would be so confident after knowing that it was his reputation that was going to be screwed after all the things about his affair came into light. I quickly realized that Dee's confidence stemmed from his lawyer's ability to manipulate the truth and twist the facts in his favor. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, he seemed unfazed by the potential consequences of his actions. The trial ran for 2 months, and it was almost at its conclusion, and I was so sure that the verdict would be in my favor. I was expecting that today would be the last day that I might have to come to court and see Dee. His lawyer said that they have new evidence that they wanted to submit. The judge agreed, and what happened next was something that I was not prepared for. There were pictures of me with various fashion show managers and movie directors going into hotel rooms. My heart begins to sink, realizing what Dee had discovered during the process of the trial. I still put up a brave face and said that it was all part of the work and it was not a big deal. Then his lawyer shifts to showing videos of me being drunk and entertaining a group of men in a hotel room in just lingerie. This was a video taken 1 year ago when Dee had not started his affair. His lawyer claimed that Dee only started having an affair after he knew about my behavior and my greed to be successful. It was previously already established that Dee was insecure in our relationship. Dee started shedding crocodile tears and behaving like a victim, showing the jury that he was the one who was wronged first. He started having an affair because he saw me repeatedly cheating on him even after he said that he wanted us to spend time with me and not run behind success. Dee's lawyer argued that his affair was a response to feeling neglected and unappreciated in the relationship. The jury was left to determine whether Dee's actions were justified or not, based on the evidence presented. In this sudden turn of events, from winning the case and ruining Dee's reputation and garnering sympathy for myself, it took a complete 360-degree turn to make me the villain. The evidence that was brought to light completely changed the narrative, painting me as the one responsible for the situation. It was a shocking and unexpected twist that left me feeling overwhelmed and misunderstood. I never expected Dee to know about any of this about my professional life. I never felt the need to even explain what I was doing to Dee, as I thought that since he was a part of this industry, so he would obviously have an idea of how to grow successful faster in your career. I took the stand and confessed that I don't think I had done anything wrong, as I was not really cheating on Dee. I was doing this just to progress in my career and nothing more, unlike Dee, who was actually physically and emotionally involved with someone else while being married to me. I firmly believed that my actions were justified and necessary for my own advancement. I realized that sometimes in order to succeed, one must make difficult decisions and prioritize their own goals. The judge and jury did not expect me to take such a high ground, and I could see the jury turning against me. My lawyer motioned me to keep quiet and not speak stuff that could jeopardize the case and make me lose the case. I followed my lawyer's advice and remained composed, knowing that any outburst could be detrimental to my defense. Despite the tension in the courtroom, I trusted in my legal representation to navigate the situation effectively. The judge gave the jury a few hours to discuss and give the verdict. I still expected to win the divorce case and ruin Dee's life, as he was the one who betrayed me. To my surprise, Dee not only won the case, but also was given the maximum of our shared assets, as I was the one who forced Dee into depression and took such drastic steps that ruined our relationship. I was shocked and devastated by the outcome, realizing that my actions had backfired in a way I never anticipated. It was a harsh lesson in the consequences of my behavior and a reminder to approach difficult situations with more care and consideration in the future. I was devastated as I had to leave the house that I had been living in all this time. I did not expect Dee to claim all the things that he knew would mean a lot to me. There were so many changes that I had to do to my lifestyle after the trial, which obviously I was not liking. I still believed that I did nothing wrong and Dee was the one who completely was in the wrong. Whatever I did all of that for our future together and to overcome our financial burdens. How could Dee forget all that we went through? And I was the one who worked hard to pull us out of it. Even after all that, I was the one who was left with nothing with me. Everything that I loved and worked hard to achieve was snatched away from me and given to Dee. I felt betrayed and hurt by Dee's actions, as I had sacrificed so much for our relationship. It was difficult to understand how everything I had worked for could be taken away so easily. Despite my efforts, I was left with nothing while Dee benefited from my hard work. I moved into a smaller house with very few things. The news kept blasting stories about me stating that because of women like me, the culture for casting couch and taking advantage of women in our industry has become rampant. I was shocked at the blatant lies that the news was spreading about me. It was not like I was solely responsible for the dark reality of our industry. I had not taken up any social responsibility to make this industry a better place, so it was illogical for them to blame me for all of it. I wanted to take a stand for myself, but I knew that going out of my way to clear my name would end whatever little opportunities that I had been getting even after my divorce. I decided to focus on improving myself and my actions within the industry, rather than getting caught up in trying to defend myself against false accusations. It was a difficult decision, but I knew it was the best way to truly make a positive impact in the long run. I would like to end on a positive note that maybe someday I will reach the same heights, or even more that I was at during the peak of my career. Maybe someday Dee would realize that he was with a gold digger, and I hoped and prayed that she would betray him the same way he did to me. With the thought of karma being a bitch and serving him right, I would wish for my success and his downfall. Thank you all for being invested in my story from start to end. I hope that you learn something from my story and believe in what you think is right, even if the world does not believe the same. God bless and love you all.